You are now listening to the Scrolls Podcast.
All right, y'all. It's a new segment of the Scrolls, the cave. It's the damn cave. I got not only my barber, but my boy, Antoine K. Tweezy, Mobile Jones.
What's the word, y'all?
All right. Now today, it's kind of like barbershop talk, but we ain't in no damn barbershop. We in the fucking cave. So I wanted to touch on soft ass kids and / discipline / crossing the line. I think that's what I'm gonna call it, crossing the line. And the reason I got him on here is because I see how he handles his children, and it's real traditional, it's real old school, which I don't feel like we see enough of nowadays. So the first thing I want to ask you, and this is all off the top, I was going to write it down, but I said barbershop talk, cave talk ain't really scripted. This shit is all freestyle. So with how you handle your children, your birth children and stepchildren, I don't really see you tearing off into them and just whooping ass, like kind of like how we grew up. Well, I know that's how I grew up. My mom was the ass whooper. My dad was the lecturer. So with you, what's more effective with your kids when it comes to disciplining them? Because I see what you post online and how you handle them. But do you think that works better than just tearing into them?
100%. It really depends on what kind of kids you got. My kids, I don't really have bad kids.
Right.
My kids is really kind of more like privileged or spoiled. Mm-hmm. That's how I kind of see it. They're not bad kids. They don't really be cussing and trying to be in the streets and all that.
Yeah.
They more like, you take the game from them. That's how I get them. I'll tell them about the game, or I'll make them go do laps, exercise, stuff like that. That's how I get them.
You be having them building grills, running laps, doing push-ups. Which I'm 1,000% with you. I think that's what works best, because nowadays whooping them just only makes them rebel and not want to do shit, because they kids nowadays have an attitude. Other kids are just so soft they can't handle any kind of discipline or any kind of punishment. But I'm 1,000% with that. But it's also, if you think about it, with us growing up, for me at least, the whoopings worked. Mm-hmm. You know, there was no Wi-Fi. We played video games, but we were more outside. So the punishment for me was not going outside.
Most definitely.
But these days it's the opposite, to where kids are all indoors, and the punishment is making them go outside and do shit, which that's what I see you do. Now, just to give a little background with your situation, how many kids do you have, and do you have different methods of disciplining each one, or is it the same across the board? Because, you know, some kids take differently to certain methods of shit.
Yeah, so it's a total of 4 kids in my household. 3 of them is biologically mine, and I discipline them all in different. I'm gonna start with my oldest son. He is 12, going on 13. Now, he's been in Georgia with his mom for basically about 10 of those years. Mm-hmm. He came up here, and she like, you know, I need help with him. He's this, he's doing this. Basically, you're not listening, all that. That's how boys get when they get to a certain age. Mm-hmm. So she wanted me to fix him and get him straight. So he's been up here for about 2 or 3 years. It's been a little long road trying to get him on page, because I kind of try to raise my kids kind of like some of how I grew up and how I was disciplined and whatnot. Mm-hmm. So with him, you know, he's not really used to being disciplined. Like, his mom used to, like, you know, just buying things and all that. Mm-hmm. But, you know,
try to silence him.
And, you know, but they don't have any respect. So that's what I've been getting. And, you know, my son, he didn't want to do anything. He never played sports. He never really played outside like that. All he really knew was the game.
And you whipping him into shape now, too, though.
Mm-hmm. Like, my son doesn't even have a TV in his room. He allowed to watch TV. He allowed to play, like, my game and whatnot. Yeah. But he likes to be in the room in the shell by himself and all that. and I've been having to get him out of that. So when he do something I don't like, the way I discipline him is, all right, don't watch my TV. Give me your phone. Stuff like that. Or I'm like, you know what? Go outside and play. That's how I get him. He hates that.
That's the crazy part, because it's almost like they don't even know what to do when they get outside.
If I tell him to go outside and ride a bike, he'll be back in the house in like 15, 20 minutes.
Like, all right, that's
like, what I do next? Like, what I'm supposed to do? It's boring and all that. They don't know. You know, when we was kids, we freestyle. We just went outside. We went to neighbors' houses. We not for kids to come out. Wasn't no cell phones.
You ride bikes from sun up to sundown.
These kids didn't know how to do that. So that's how I kind of whip him into shape. Like, when first year he moved up here, I made him, when he moved up here, it was like that August of like 2018, 19, I believe. And I made him play basketball. Mad, tripping, hated with a passion. To me, I didn't care. You don't have a choice. You ain't doing nothing else. Which he was kind of big at the time too. Very out of shape.
Yeah.
Then I was gonna have him do other sports, but then COVID hit. So I ended up putting him. We didn't really do too much. He was just gaining weight like all kids was and all that. Now that COVID kind of gone away a little bit, or whatever you want to call it, dying down.
Yeah.
I got him running track.
You got him running track?
He was mad about that. He was mad about that. Boy done lost so much weight.
He's slimming down. He damn sure slimming down.
He slimmed down, like all that. Like I used to be telling him he don't have to go to track practice sometime. He be, Dad, I want to go. Can you please take me? Can I please go? So I'm like, all right, I ain't gonna argue with you. But it be days when they're like, I think he kind of sick, or it's kind of raining outside. Like, KJ, you really don't have to go. He really be wanting to go. He did it the other day. He really was kind of sick last week. He still went.
So now that he didn't got turned on to it, I mean, obviously it's a positive effect on him. Did you ever even try, or he might not have been bad enough to really deserve a whooping, but did it ever get to that point to where you had to try it, or what happened?
I whooped him about a year or so ago with a little kid belt, but I let him know, like, I can do this, but for what?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like them days are gone. He's too old for that. Like, he was a hefty. He was like what, about 170 pounds or something like that.
He was up there. Yeah, he was up there.
He was little, like he's still little. Cause I'm 210. He was like 170, and I made him lose that. He like 140 now. But I'm like, what's the point? He'll get it if I whoop him, but what's the point?
It'll have a long lasting effect, I think, is what it is.
Yeah, so I'll be like, I talk to my kids, I yell and all that. I do all that. But I don't be wanting to whoop them because I be feeling like they don't really get it. They be feeling like he abusing if I was to do that.
Yeah.
But I be wanting, like, I can still whoop them and all that, but then, but I need them to understand. So I feel like they as far as my kids, I feel like they understand more if I take from them.
You got to level
or make them do stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I don't be wanting to whoop them because they really not getting nothing out of it.
When you did, well, not even just him, but the other ones, when you whooped them, how did you feel afterwards? I think that's, when me and Michelle have our own, I think it's like, what's the level or what requires an instant ass whooping, if anything? Because it's not all, some things a lecture can't fix. Some things, depending on where you at, you can't just snatch the internet from them. You can't snatch the phone from them. So at what point is you like, all right, no, I gotta get after you?
It really depends on what they do. Cause I ain't gonna lie, I'm really an ass whooper. I ain't gonna lie, I really will.
That's the
thing. Just depends on what they do.
Yeah.
Like society trying to make it seem like you can't do that.
You can't even talk about it no more. Like, you can't even.
Oh yeah. Gotta get CPS involved.
Yeah.
Because I grew up on ass with my mom and my dad whooped my ass. Honestly, my mom whooped me longer than my dad did. My mom whooped me with a belt. My dad used to whip with his hand.
That's how mine was.
But my mom, but what was harder, longer. But I learned my lessons from that. So I don't see nothing wrong with that.
That's where the rock and the hard place come in, because like, we know what worked for us and we know how we turned out, and that's why I figured you were one of the perfect people to have the conversation with, because I know how you operate. I know what type of cat you are. So you look at how people are now and the type of discipline they had growing up, and if you had to choose between which one, I mean, you can hand out the ass whooping and kind of get it over with, but these kids are wired different and they don't respond to the same shit. So it's like nowadays these kids are it's like a lot of these kids are soft, but they're tougher when it comes to certain shit. It's like, how does the internet and the phone break you down, but the ass whooping don't? And that, to me, that's the craziest part about it, because that, growing up, when my dad would give me a certain look, it ain't even had to come down to an ass
Tell
whooping.
me about it.
A certain look, to straighten up. With my mom, it's like, my mom's short, she little. It ain't too much physical harm she can hand out, but she had that fire about her that we still got it either way. Whichever one of them it was handing it out, we got the point. So you also have a daughter. Mm-hmm. Now, how does the discipline go with your daughter?
I really don't discipline her. Like, my daughter been in my life since day one.
Mm-hmm. I remember.
So, if she just don't like getting in trouble. Like, she really don't want to do anything to get in trouble.
Yeah.
Like, when she was younger and she got whoopings and stuff, but when she, like 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, like, she really don't do too much. She know when to stop or don't do anything, especially when it comes to me. I haven't touched her in years.
That's a good thing.
I could just look at her and she'll look the other way, like she know what's up.
Mm-hmm.
Or because if I even start yelling, she'll cry.
Now, who's older? Between her and KJ, which one's older?
KJ older. They're about a year and a half apart.
Now, so. you fast forward to. That's when they're younger. That's how we handle them, and I think the way you do it is the correct way with how times have changed. Now, you fast forward and you see these 18, 19-year-olds getting killed. They going after each other like grown men. Now, in my opinion, it's like, if they had any, what type of discipline do you think they had? To me personally, I feel like a lot of them kids just never had their ass whooped. At least one or two to straighten them out. There's a clear difference between straightening a kid out and abusing them. Mm-hmm. A lot of parents, they get that line blurred to where they think everything is in trade for an ass whooping, and it's not. So, what do you think about the older kids that are out here wilding out and literally killing each other? Is it a lack of discipline, or are they just bad seeds?
I hate it with a passion. Because I got nieces and nephews that age. Mm-hmm. All the kids that's passing away, these kids is dying at 15, 16 years old. Kids ain't graduated from high school.
Yeah.
So, a lot of those kids didn't have a father growing up. A lot of those kids' parents, moms, still to this day, party. Kids is free. I wasn't as free like that. Like, I had my mom and my dad in my life. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, they could have been clubbing. They didn't choose to do that. When you have kids, you gotta pick a side. What you gonna do? Mm-hmm. A lot of those kids don't really have like their fathers. Their fathers go to prison or not. So I feel like a lot of those kids, they don't really be having their fathers around the age of 10 and 13 when they starting to need them. They be in prison, or they just don't be around. So that'd be the problem. So then when they get to talking to their mom crazy, the mom only can do so much. Mom can't really raise his kids at a certain age. You can't teach them how to be a man. So that'd be the problem right there. When the father ain't around, what the kids do? They go right to the streets, right?
Yeah.
Happens all the time. Like when my mom and my dad had split, they split when I was 12. So that messed me up bad. So I started talking crazy and doing stuff. But my dad was still present. But I was so mad at my mom just because I knew my dad my whole life.
So, okay, I never even knew that. So I kind of want to jump into that. So who were you tripping on? Were you tripping on your dad for he's still there, but obviously not 24/7. So who were you acting up with more? Your mom?
I was acting with my mom because, she put my dad out.
Yeah.
So I'm living with my mom because I always been closer with my dad than my mom since I was a baby.
So you probably started looking at her like...
So that's why I used to be telling people, I told my mom too, like, I'm glad you didn't keep me. She didn't keep me away from him. But, he didn't live there no more.
Yeah.
So I told my mom before, like, I would have been looking at you different. I probably really would have disliked you. And you would have kept me away from my dad. Because that's what a lot of parents is doing these days. Mm-hmm. A lot of moms, like bitter baby mamas or whatnot, will keep you away. Just because they can't have the father, or whatever the case may be. And, that's how it be. Like,
that's so backwards, though. Like,
yeah.
Like you ain't hurt nobody but you already hurt in the kid. You're not hurting the dad behind that because it's only so much he can do. With your then speaking of the mom, with your lady, how is she with the discipline? Does she put that ball in your court every time, or does she get after him?
As far as all the kids.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
If it's separate, then you go deeper.
She don't really have to really say anything to my kids like that, cause they really don't do as much. Like, you know, my kids really don't not listen to her.
Yeah.
Like, they know better, and they already know how I'm coming.
Yeah.
If they say something wrong or slick to her.
Have you had that happen already?
Yes, my son. That's because he didn't know no better.
KJ?
Yes.
Yeah.
He didn't know any better. He was doing that when he was in Georgia. He'll talk crazy to his mom and his grandma. He didn't know no better either. It's how you're raised. And I was like, okay, well, up here in Michigan, we ain't even doing all that.
Yeah.
We ain't talking crazy to my mom, my woman, nobody. But, like, as far as my girl, her son, like, she really don't like to whoop him either. But honestly, when she does, it gets him, like, right where he need to be. He'll go sit down and think about what he did. Come back like, Mom, lay on her. And like, I'm sorry, I love you, this and this and that. Because when I got whoopings, I ain't want to see my mom the rest of the day.
Yeah.
I was get back on that. Man. That's like when he get whooped, he know what he did. He'll come apologize and everything.
Now that's crazy.
Wow.
I never even thought of it like that. Because them whoopings will make, I don't want to see you. No,
yeah,
I don't want to eat. I don't want dinner. I don't want nothing. Just leave me alone.
Go in your room. If I was to go to my room, I was in there. I didn't come out probably the rest of the night. Listen, it's time to eat.
Yeah.
She'll get whooping, go to his room. Maybe 30 minutes to an hour, he'll come back out. He thought about what he did. Like, yeah, maybe I went too far. He'll come back out. Mom, I'm sorry. I love you. You know, this and this and that with the rule. Like, I'm like, so when I see him do it, I just be kind of lost. Like, I ain't never seen that before.
I've never seen that. So, I've never seen it.
Which is cool because
that means he knows.
Yeah. So, and then that's really it. Like, you know, I want to really do with my daughter than my youngest. He's 3. You know, the little stuff for him. He's not a bad kid at all. Like, he's still 3. He about to be 4. He really don't do too much. He know what he shouldn't be doing.
What about his terrible twos though?
Yeah, that was another story. His kind of came late too. Like when he about to turn 3, his terrible twos kicked in late because he's not really an adventurous kid like that. He's very leery. He's a very alert. He's been like that since birth. Like he doesn't really like loud noises and stuff like that. Like he still doesn't like fireworks. Still. Yeah. Like he's always been like that since a baby.
So he's already reserved as a kid.
Yeah, he's like he's the kid. He wouldn't really mess up his room. A room full of toys. He wouldn't really mess up the room like that. He just started doing that like maybe this year. He about to be 4. Like he used to take all his toys. Now he does, but he about to be 4 now, so he's doing all this stuff kind of late. Like he's still kind of babyish. He's like a very great kid. Like
so, what about
he doesn't really give me a problem.
What about grandparents? Because grandparents are the last to whoop kids. Like, do y'all set boundaries with your parents and her parents on the lines that can be crossed with dealing with y'all children?
Yeah, I just pretty much just let them handle that because they know what they doing.
Yeah.
I don't really get involved with that. You know, some kids, you know, when the grandparents are disciplined, oh, I'm going to my dad, I'm going to my mom. I don't even get in that. Like, I let them deal with that. Cause, you know, because like I said, like my kids ain't really all that bad. They really spoiled. Like a lot of these kids today just spoiled. That's really all it is.
So do you think, not even just getting off for your children, but the children in general, do you think that kids are soft or parents are too rough?
Soft. Kids are very soft. Parents too. A lot of parents don't want to whoop their kids.
When they need it.
And if they do, they'll feel bad and they'll apologize.
You snatched away the whole lesson. Now you just left them with the ass whooping. you ain't even teaching them because you didn't put the image in their head like I apologize.
I popped my son in the mouth one day.
Yeah.
The mouth was just going. And I was picking him up from the Boys and Girls Club and had his mom meet me to bring him some of his clothes. He was staying with me. The boy got mad because I wasn't going to go to his mom's house to go get his game controller to play a game on his phone. So I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's your responsibility. You're supposed to remember that stuff. He's so used to his mom running and doing everything That was the problem. And I used to get on her like, you know, we gotta be on the same page. You can't be doing all that no more. Like this and that. Because he expects it from both of us. I said, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing everything he wants when he wants it done.
You ever got into it with one of the mothers about being, because we are men and we don't give as much leeway when it comes to how we get after kids. Have you ever had to have a conversation or gotten to it about how you get after them?
Yes, all the time. Like, not so. I mean, I still kind of do with my son's mother.
Yeah.
Cause she still doesn't understand. I still have to let her know, like, I got this. Let me do me.
Yeah.
Even her father tells her, like, you know, let Kentuan do him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let him, right? Yeah. Cause I'll tell her, like I tell my son all the time, I'm never gonna steer you wrong. I'm not gonna tell you nothing wrong.
Yeah.
Everything I'm gonna do is to make you a better person. Cause all the stuff that you try to do now, you ain't gonna be able to do in the real world. Mm-hmm. You ain't gonna always be able to call your mom to come run to get you this and get you that, or buy you this and buy you that. Mm-hmm. She ain't gonna always be here. I ain't gonna always be here. I tell him all the time, like, you about to be 13, and I told him. Yeah. Like, you almost old enough to get you a job. You can be 18 like this. Yeah. Then what?
You know, another thing about that, like, there is a such thing as being so tough on your kids that you make them numb to being sensible and having, because they're supposed to have emotions. You're not supposed to just beat the emotion out your damn kids. Right. And I think that's what a lot of parents do, even if it's not knowingly, is you so hard on them that you whip it out of them. And whether that's being verbally abusive to them nonstop or whatever, however you're doing it, do you think that you found the perfect balance between making them tough but still raising them to be good kids? Because you can be super tough on them and then they just raise up to be a knucklehead pretty much. Because that's all they know is the hard knock life. So have you found that middle ground with doing that?
Yeah, I believe I have. Like, I just try to prepare my kids for the real world. So I'll be like, T.I., I have family meetings every week. Yeah. I just let them know, like, all the time. Like, yeah. Like if you watch the T.I. and Tiny show, you know, T.I. took him back to the hood, how he grew up. Mm-hmm. You know, let them know, like, y'all privileged. I got everything. Y'all can get anything y'all want. Yeah. I just like to prepare my kids for the real world because it's going to happen like this. And I didn't understand. Like, I'm not about to beat you every time you do something wrong. Right. You know, I know how to get all of them. Like, I know what will get them. Like, my older son, the game, TV, the phone. Like, all the time, like, when I first put him in track, he didn't want to do it. He was acting like a brat, jumping, stumping, and all that. I said, you know what, give me that phone, don't touch that TV. Mm-hmm. I only did it for 2 days.
It don't take long.
No, he cried.
By the end of the night, they'd be like, man.
You know, but I could have did it for the whole week. I did it for 2 days. I just let them know, like, I run this. Like, you don't go your way, though. Like, you know, I just let him. My son be trying to see the easy way out of life. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm talking even when it comes to cooking food. Yeah. Like, he'll make a bowl of noodles in a heartbeat. Noodles or some oatmeal. Yeah. He don't want to take the time to do nothing else. Like, anything quick. Like, if he see you cooking, he might not want to wait. Food could be almost done.
He all about the convenience.
Yes, very. Yeah. So, you know, I let him know. I make him do a lot of stuff. But sometimes I cook. I make him help me. Mm-hmm.
That's what you gotta do.
You gotta do it either way it goes. One day you gotta go. I let them know, like, the real world stuff. Like, one day you're gonna have a girlfriend, right? Mm-hmm. Don't know woman want somebody that don't know how to do nothing.
Can't survive.
If you don't know how to do nothing, you pointless. You useless. So I tell them this stuff all the time. Then I talk to them about police brutality. I talk to both of the boys about that. I talk to my daughter too. Like, you know, y'all young and y'all black. Mm-hmm. I had them watch the what's that show on Netflix, When They See Us. Yeah. I had them watch that about a month ago. Yeah. Like, y'all just be in your own world. Well, for one, they was like, well, why we gotta watch? When they started seeing what's going on, like, why we gotta watch us? They trying to let you know, like, both of y'all act like the kids in here. Yeah. But, like, you know, they can fold under pressure. Yeah. What kid ain't gonna fold under pressure? If they tell you to sign something, what you gonna do? You gonna sign it. Mm-hmm. You might be saying, you know, in my mind, man, they get to slamming on the table, yelling at you. You gonna fold. Right. Like, y'all ain't even 13 yet. Y'all still minors, which is illegal for y'all to sign anything without a guardian or a parent. But y'all will do it if they told y'all to. But they'll scare y'all.
I seen a video. It's crazy you brought that up. Yesterday, you seen a video with a young black girl and a white female cop. The young black girl seen the cop and instantly put her hands up and started crying. And a lot of the comments was on that like she's picking that up from home. Mm-hmm. Now, when I first seen it, I pretty much thought the same thing. Like, who is teaching her that she's supposed to just go into panic mode when she sees cops? Because it's like, how do you setting them up for failure? Because certainly, I mean, we know how a lot of cops are. They feed off of black people being scared of them, and they only use that to go even harder on them and end up doing something to them. So, how often do you even have those conversations with them about shit like that? Because I feel like if you do it too much, you traumatizing your kids, and you're not teaching them that no, everybody, all of them aren't like that. Even though a good number of them are, all of them aren't. So these kids don't even know how to gauge. They lack people skills, so they don't know how to determine what they're dealing with when they're out in the real world.
Yeah, so I had that discussion with them quite a few times. I never really told them what to do. I just letting them know, like, this stuff happens, so you get to, like, acting like you don't know anything. Mm-hmm. I tell them stuff about that. Like, y'all go to the store and somebody steals. I don't know, like, okay, what an accessory is. Like, you'll be an accessory, but you seen somebody steal something and say you didn't know. Mm-hmm. I'm not really telling them, like, be scared like they'll shoot you down. I don't really, like, keep trying to put that in their head. Yeah. That's other stuff. Like, you go to jail for anything these days.
Anything.
So I let them know, like, if you go to a convenience store to go get something, if your boy steal and you see him and you get to saying, oh, I don't know, you know, that's a problem. All you gonna do is make the cop mad. Anything can happen.
Yeah.
It's stuff like that I be on with my kids. And I kind of put that into their head. But as far as, like, the police shootings, I discussed that with them. I don't expect them just to raise their hands when they see a cop. Like, no,
that's over the top, man.
I don't really expect them to do that. But don't get to fiddling around in the car either.
Yeah. That's an interesting thing, because it's like, how do you tell your kids, even when we do shit all the way right, it can go all the way left and end up bad. So it's like, how do you explain that to them? You know, when they see the person that you got the gun license, you legal, you do whatever, you're not out here selling drugs, you ain't thugging. So, and something bad still happens, have you had that conversation with them? To where there's no excuse for it, it's no rhyme or reason for it. Simply, you black, this cop they got a mission. There's more KKK members in the police force than it is anywhere else. How do you break that down to them? Because we can tell them, you know, you speak to them correctly, you don't do this, don't do that, and some shit still happens.
Yeah, that's kind of a situation I haven't really got into yet, which I really do need to. But only thing I really said to them was, like, you need to know your rights.
Yeah.
Which is big. That takes time. It's a lot of stuff they need to know. That takes time. They
grown folks don't even know.
That's what I'm saying. That takes time. Like, I read up on a lot of stuff. I read articles and all that.
Yeah.
Like, this stuff I'm still learning, because I had to still instill in them. Because my kids are just like, or just kids in general, they get up and go. Like, it ain't how he was when he was growing up. Like, you can't run from the police no more.
Yeah.
You used to be able to run from the police.
Yeah, you getting gunned down.
Yeah, like you run for the police, they don't even pull out the taser.
You think they don't even got them nowadays? Like,
they instantly putting out that gun. Now, you make them mad when you run, because they probably ain't gonna catch you, so they gonna shoot. They gonna shoot at you. You see it all the time.
Do you ever share, like, personal stories of growing up in bullshit that you've done with your kids to kind of drive a point home with how you see them act, even though they're not bad? It's just explaining certain experiences to them to make it clear. Have you done that?
Yeah, anything I can. It depends on what we be discussing, and I'll bring up times like this. Me being in church here all the time. Like, back in like 05, 06, and around those years when church was heavy, you know, because drugs or whatnot. You know, I got harassed all the time. All the time. Like, it was one particular time I was 17 years old walking home. There was a group of us maybe like 5 or 6 of us.
Mm-hmm.
They was walking me halfway home, and I was just going home. Cop pull over. You know, hit you with the this is a drug area, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Ask for my ID. They didn't ask for others. They asked for me. So I'm like, I don't have one because I really did. I'm still in high school. It was my senior year, and I told them my name. They ran it. Nothing came up. I never really been in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't believe me. So they were saying like, okay, well, we gotta take you to jail because I don't believe you. I'm like, so you gonna take me to jail because I don't have a record? So yeah, I was getting mouthy because that's some bullshit.
Yeah.
So what happened was the only reason why I really didn't go to jail because I was gonna run. That's the crazy part. I know Churchill like the back of my head.
Take off.
I used to run from the police, so
yeah.
I knew I was gonna get out. But what it was I had called my dad's girlfriend at the time and told her what was going on. She came flying down the street and got into it with them, and they ended up backing up on me. And then the next day, we ended up going to Secretary of State, got me an ID, state ID.
And you broke that down?
So yeah, I brought that down to them, like, you know, which was kind of legal. They couldn't really just take me down and because I said my name was this, but you are supposed to have an ID, especially around that time. I never cared my school IDs and all that. I never really had a reason to. So when that happened, you know, I'm like, I'm about to really go to jail because they don't believe what my name is.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, yo, at the time I was the only one with that name. It ain't in the system because ain't nothing to see.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm still in high school. I'm 17 years old. I'm like, nah, I'm not. I don't be in trouble. They wasn't minding it, so they about to take me to jail for that. So I went for my dad girl at the time. She came and got me. She came down there, and then she took me to the Secretary of State that morning. Got me ID.
So you fast forward again, and I think this is where we'll wrap it up. Starting with KJ, because he seemed like he was the one that just needed the most work from the situation he was in. What do you have to get after him about now? If anything, all of them, not just him, but all of them. Like, because you clearly doing a good job with them. So, I mean, is it like what do they go through now that you're like, all right, well, like, they're obviously always going to be works in progress. So, what is it now at the ages they at?
As far as him, my son is really lazy. Like, you know, I get on him about cleaning his room, like this little stuff like that. I make him help me do a lot of things. And I give him allowance to, you know, take out the trash, all the stuff he didn't really know how to do. He never did it before. So it's stuff like that. Now I don't really have to tell him to do majority of that stuff. I just be on like, did you clean the room? Now it's come to a point that I can't really be on him because he does it without me saying. But I tell him all the time, my son, if you just do it, I ain't got nothing to say to you.
That's it. That sounds so simple.
And that took about 2 years. But then I get on him about he should keep the same energy when he at home. Because he'll go home and do none of the stuff that he learned at my house.
Just fall off.
And that's why I had discussions with his mother about that. Because I'm like, yo, we need to be on the same page. I said, I don't like him going home like he ain't got to do nothing. So when he come back, he be like that.
You got to whip him into shape again.
Yeah, and you know, and I've been doing that for about 2 years, and I got tired of that. So I was like, you know, now she see what I be saying because she babied him for so long. It still tries to baby him. It's so crazy. It is like I be on the boy so much, he always want to be at my house. Yeah. Like that's another crazy thing. Me yelling at him, you need to do this and do that. Like he don't like when his mom fuss at him, but he don't mind me fussing at him.
Because he knows a standard there.
So because he said his mom get on his nerves, I'm like, she can't possibly get on your nerves more than me. I be on him like every day, all day, every day. Yeah. And he like, yeah, I feel like she just do this stuff she can do. I'm like, you know, it just be stuff like I let them know like y'all older, y'all need to help y'all parents out. Like we working, we be gone, we paying all the bills and all that. Least you can do is take out the trash, clean your room or sweep the floor.
That's the least you can do.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just stuff like that. So he's getting it. He got it down pat from my house. Now I gotta make him do it at both houses. I need you to go back home to your mind when you come back from me. I need you to keep the same energy at both homes.
Sounds like you in a good spot then, man. I mean, that's what I figured.
It's been about 2 years. Like, he about to be 13, going on 3 years. I ain't gonna lie. When it first happened, and he came up here, I was like, I ain't know how I was gonna do this. Like,
he was a headache.
Yeah, because it's like, I have to train him to do stuff that he should have learned at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, on up. Like he just didn't know how to do nothing and didn't know a lot of stuff. And I'm like, what the hell is wrong with these kids? He never had to do it. So his mom will always be like, I'm sorry, it's my fault. I just did everything.
Yeah.
I said, yeah. I'm like, cause he didn't know how to put a shirt on a hanger and hang it up. Like stuff like that.
He was just coddled.
Yeah, all he know how to do is just play the game. That's all he did because she just did everything.
He was coddled.
Now, yeah, so I just raised them. I kind of just raised them how I was raised.
Yeah.
I take some of that from how I grew up and I instill it in them and then my little twist on it.
And that's the recipe. That's the recipe, and that's the first episode of The Cave. I gotta do more of these. This is gonna be exactly what I wanted to be. So tell the people where they can find you. I'm gonna put your you gotta send me a logo and all of that shit so I can slap it on the video. But tell the people where they can find you and let them know what the deal is.
I got Facebook. My Facebook is Danielle Jones, and my Snapchat is at High Class Tweeds. I'm a mobile barber, so if y'all need me, tap in on my Facebook, Danielle Jones, or hit me on my Snap, High Class Tweeds. I'll get you in.
And that's that. Scroll, The Cave. Hey, man. You got me there. All right, y'all. Next time.